Okay, so I am going to show you the second part of how I set my bullet journal up. So I showed you before how I start with my word of the year, and then I do a 12-month tarot reading just to kind of like see what's coming up for each month. One thing I did not mention is that when you get if you pull up a challenging card, I like to try to find ways of reframing it so that it's more of a way of being like, I can be cautionary during this month, or being more aware of like what I can do to make the month better. Okay, so then I do my yearly check-in, and then that's where we left off. So the next page I like to do is the mood tracker, and I'll show this a little bit closer. So I have each month this way, and then the days of the month go down. And then I have my color key right here, and then right here I keep track. So after each month, I write down how many yellows I had, which is like happy, active, fun days. Green is good, average. Turquoise is anxious or nervous. And this is why I started to keep track of my moods in the first place in my bullet journal, is because I was suffering from extreme anxiety and I needed to understand it better. And it helped me so that when I could see what was actually helping my anxiety and what was triggering my anxiety, I had gone from like 10 to 12 anxiety days a month down to like 1 or 3 anxiety days a month. And so I was able to see the difference in real time because I had tracked my moods. And so I have been very diligent about this since, and I have seen some really interesting patterns come up. Okay, and then the blue is sad, depressed, down. The purple is tired, lazy, sick. And someone once saw that and said, do you associate being lazy with being sick? And I do have to say that is a very good question. Maybe. But I also don't want to have too many colors involved and overcomplicate things. So, there are days where you are sick, and then there are days where you are lazy. And I just think it's important that you just know that that was one of those days where you needed to give yourself some extra care. Okay. So this is just when you're in that mood, you're not sad, depressed, down. And it's not necessarily melancholy either. It's just like, I'm just not feeling it, Okay. So then the bottom pink is angry or annoyed. And I have found out that I'm not as angry and annoyed as I originally thought I was. And I don't know if that's like the Kundalini yoga helping, or if I have like a lot of pent up anger and you let out, because I would have thought I'd been more angry. Okay, and then the other fun page I like to do is birthdays. And I recently got this fun metallic watercolor, and it's super cute. But anyway, I will write down, not every friend's birthday goes in here, but my main close friends. And then, of course, family, as much as I can. I try to write it down in here and then look at it often. So you can look at it and make sure you're not missing anyone's birthdays when you're checking your moods every day. Okay, so that's fun. And then a new thing I added to my bullet journal that I am now doing that's different than before is my next 12 pages are the 12 months. And so I used to do the month at the beginning of that month's weekly spreads. And so, the months weren't always done ahead of time. And what I found was that I would want to write down something that was happening in a previous month, but I didn't really have time or a place to write down, or I'd write down somewhere and it just wasn't being productive. It wasn't getting where it needed to go. And I was realizing that I could make this simpler. And so my new theory to that is that I write down, or I made all of the months ahead of time, and they're all together. And so this way, again, like check out my terrible art. But you know, you don't have to be this amazing artist. It just makes some really fun, pretty pages. Okay. That's my point here. We're not in an artist competition. We are having fun. We're like children having fun. And then, you know, I've got July, August. And with each month, I will write down the new moon and the full moon. So I do Vedic astrology. A lot of you probably, you may know that. I don't know. But anyway, I have videos on my Vedic astrology. So it's probably nothing new. But I like to at least, I don't write down every single transition of the month. I have another calendar that I pull out all the time that I'm constantly looking at, it's there. I would eventually like to make a calendar for everybody that's got all this on the month and they can incorporate it into all this. But anyway, until now, you have to make your own. So I will do a new moon and then a full moon. And at least I've got that information. But I've now decided to put it all together. So again, it goes to all of the months, all the way to December here. And that way, if I find out tomorrow that I have a wedding in December, I can actually write that down right now. And I don't have to worry about whether I got it done in my bullet journal, whether I'm to December or not, whether I have a page in my bullet journal for like future dates, which you could totally do. But I kind of like the idea of all these calendars together at the very front of the book as well, because you can just quickly reference them rather than having to find them in the book later on or go to your coming up page, whatever you got. I kind of like this idea as my new form of being productive. And so this is an experiment. I love to experiment. Tell me what you think about this idea. Tell me what you think about tracking your moods. I want to know if you think that's a productive form of being, or if that is to also being too productive, you know, like I'm curious. I also, like I mentioned, I found it quite useful, but you know, I really want to simplify all of this down as much as possible. So I'm also curious what your thoughts are there. Tell me what you think about the idea of all of the months. I'd love to know your thoughts on watercolor as an option. And I will do the next part of this book in another video.